I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say this week. Don't worry, guys. There's a lot of wrestling to discuss. Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your true heel phenom, SP3. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. Hey, Luca! Wake up! It's 10 a.m. Where the hell you been? 12 hours ago, Luka Doncic made his debut in the crypto.com arena, and he was looking good. People tried to say he couldn't work with LeBron James, but we know here in the Laker Church, LeBron James, he can do the damn thing with just about anyone or anything, and that's how we did the thing, putting up a 30-point blowout. Yes, it's against the Utah Jazz, but it's the first time with Luka Doncic. First time with Luka, and he was looking good. But it was looking better. It was looking better, like butter out there. Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves. Thank you, Austin Reeves. The Lakers have won 12 of the last 14, 10 of the last 11. So let's do the damn thing as we head into the All-Star break. You get this short preaching break. The sermon is done. God bless Luka Doncic. God bless Hirooki Goto. God bless In the Weeds.
It is Tuesday, February 11th. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is Pastor SP3. Luka Doncic did make his debut last night for the Lakers. Went about as well as you could expect it to go against an awful Jazz team. They play the Jazz again, then they play the Blazers. I'm waiting for them to play a real team. Looking forward to when they play a real team, but a little concerning how this is gonna affect the rest of the West. Little concerning. They have two high-level players, but you know what? I can't be super concerned. The Oklahoma City Thunder last night destroyed an awful Pelicans team. I'm not gonna pretend like we beat a good team, but we destroyed an awful Pelicans team. We blew out a very good Memphis team without Chet, without Dort. They were both back last night. Dominated the Pelicans. I'm not super concerned, but I'm a little concerned when they got two high-level players like Luka and LeBron James. Matthew Hooks, happy birthday.
And Austin Reeves. Don't forget about Austin Reeves. Been the difference maker in this streak. 12 of the last 14. Best record since January 15th.
Dude, Austin Reeves looks like a my player where you just keep adding accessories and he just has this VC to spin. He's like, oh, now I need a headband. Now I need a tattoo. Now I need an arm sleeve. Now I need a leg sleeve. Now I need a haircut. Can you stop with the accessories?
And it's also the attributes. Now his 3-point is better. Now he's a better facilitator. He's putting up 45, 7 and 8.
Yeah, he's got the LeBron James mentorship badge and everything. He's definitely earned those badges. Bless him. He's doing well. Austin Reeves has definitely been playing well. I do think that, the Mark Williams trade, now that got rescinded, I don't know if I'd feel super comfortable with Jackson Hayes against top-level teams. Utah Jazz ain't threatening nobody. Let's be honest. That team's awful. But when they play, I think they got a good team. They play like the Blazers. The Blazers actually playing well. I'm not going to disparage the Blazers. They've actually been playing halfway decent over the last month or so. But then at some point, they're going to have to play a good team, an actual playoff team. And that's when I look forward to seeing how well they actually do. Who do they have? Let me look this up. They play the Jazz, they play the Hornets, they play the Blazers. Oh, February 22nd, finally an actual game. Denver Nuggets. That'll be a test because that's a team that beats them even when
all the time
things are going right for the Lakers and everything's going wrong for Denver. Denver's been playing really well. So after the All-Star break is when they get a test, but that's not for another almost 2 weeks. No, that'd be a good game, though. That'd be a good game.
That's a big week, too, because the 25th is the Dallas game. So we shall see. Even though Anthony Davis, went down with an injury this past weekend.
That trade looks more awful and more awful
Every day
by the
passes.
day.
Yeah. Yep.
By the day. What is going on? Sorry to you, Matthew Hooks. Sorry. Happy birthday. Happy birthday,
Happy
Matthew
birthday,
Hooks.
Matthew Hooks.
I'm sorry that the team you root for has a terrible GM. And did you say they kicked the fan out of the game who mouthed Fire Nico on the Jumbotron?
Yeah, they did that, and then I think it was the president of basketball operations came out and basically bashed Luca. It's embarrassing. This is embarrassing. This is like Dan Gilbert's letter times 10.
That ruled. Comic
It
Sans
was
letter.
it was hilarious. It wasn't because we had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, that actually ruled. I got no choice but to respect that letter. It is bad though. Kicking a fan out just for mouthing Fire Nico, like the fans allowed to have an opinion on this stuff. That's terrible behavior. Bitch made behavior. We're 6 minutes into the show. I can say it.
Out of the 5 minute
Absolute bitch
window.
made
Well,
behavior.
damn.
Hey guys, if you're here, we appreciate you. Leave us a thumbs up on the video. That helps us out. Can we get the fireworks going for Luka Doncic's debut? There we go. There we go. We got the fireworks.
What a night! What a
going.
night it was last night. You know, you had Monday Night Raw on Netflix from Nashville, Tennessee. One of the main events of WrestleMania being made. You had Logan Paul qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. Plus, more stuff happened, and there was good wrestling on the show. Not a lot happened, but there was a lot of good wrestling on the show. Then you had Luka Doncic debut in crypto.com, Staples Center, Arena, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. And then New Japan Pro Wrestling put their big boy pants on again and gave us an all-time classic at 1 a.m. in the morning. And literally, I didn't need any caffeine, Jeremy. I didn't need a Pepsi. I didn't need a Coke. I didn't need a coffee. All I needed was Konosuke Takeshita and Bolton Oleg beating the hell out of each other for 12 minutes, the perfect timing for a Jeremy Lambert great match. I thought about you. They did the 10-minute call, and they're in the closest stretch. I was like, they're about to hit the perfect Jeremy Lambert time. Oh, my God. And then they did it. I was like, oh, this is awesome, awesome, awesome way. Then you had Young Bucks with Matthew Jackson looking like Randy Orton out here, looking jacked to the gills. Putting on a good showing, putting over LIJ as the new tag team champions. And then they gave us 2 back-to-back match of the year candidates and capped it off with one of the happiest endings to a New Japan show of all time. And that's coming off of just 5 months ago. One of the last title change for the top title was one of the happiest endings in New Japan Pro Wrestling, in pro wrestling history, or pro wrestling of 2024, with Zack Sabre Jr. beating Naito. But man, Hirooki Goto, that crowd in Osaka, his kids coming into. I was having an emotional moment, man. I was like, I don't know if I could go to sleep after this. My adrenaline is up. This was awesome. Awesome show. It was definitely the mid 2010s, late 2010s New Japan Pro Wrestling vibes with last night, this morning's New Beginning in Osaka.
We'll get into all of that. First, if you're here, leave a super chat. That helps us out. Get your question, comment, statement right on the air. Subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. Tap the bell for notifications. We're live every single weekday in the weeds, 10 a.m. Eastern. Myself, SP3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Myself and Joel Pearl, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Unless Joel Pearl doesn't show up like he did last week. Old 2-show Joel skipping out on the first 5-day a week in the weeds. I think I said it right this time. Skipping out. but he'll be back tomorrow, allegedly. We got a lot of guests joining us this week. We're scheduled joined by Charles Mason. Today, he has been moved to Thursday, scheduling conflict there, but we got it all situated. He's supposed to join us on Thursday, but today we are scheduled to be joined by Joey Janela at 11:30. Joey will be here to talk about the Jersey J-Cup. He is facing Atticus Cogar in the first round. That should be a war. We're going to talk to Joey about the Jersey J-Cup. We're going to talk to Joey about his upcoming match against Sabu's retirement match at spring break. We're going to talk to Joey about maybe some trash reality television that he's been watching. You never know what you're going to get when Joey Janela joins the show. He showed up as Bruce Hart last time. You never know what's going to happen when Joey shows up on the show. If Joey shows up. Last time, Joey, we promoted him, and then he was late, and then he came on the next day. So Joey will be here at some point, At some point, Joey will be here. Might be today at 11:30.
Sometime this week. This week.
Might be today at 11:30. Might be tomorrow at 11:30. Might be tomorrow at 1:30. You never know with Joey Janela. But he is scheduled to join us to promote Jersey J-Cup. If you haven't, yesterday we had Cole Radrick on the show, our pal Cole. That interview is up as a standalone interview on the site right now. But yes, we do have a lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling. And, we'll start. We got a lot of super chats. Let's hit a few right now. Tenruza says, "Will always be Staples. Don't forget." I still call it Staples. It's never crypto. Fuck that scamming Bitcoin nonsense. I don't want to hear
I want to tweet out gorilla emojis, so I got to call it crypto.com arena. I want to go under Black Reality Stars tweets and put gorilla emojis, and it's not going to be a big deal because I'm doing it for a crypto scam. I'm sorry. I'm going a little bananas here. I'm sorry.
Are you going to sell Hawk Tua coin? That worked out, right? That went well. I don't want to hear any WWE chat. New Japan with a classic all-timer: Bucks, Gabe Kidd, Yoda Tsuji, Konosuke Takeshita, Bola Golden, and Goto. Wow.
What a morning for the young guys of New Japan, man. The young guys showed out on that show.
We will talk plenty of New Japan. Tenrusa also says, "Leave for Brisbane on Friday. Safe travels, Tenrusa." Nice. Grand Slam, New Japan, Tamashi. Let's fucking go. Enjoy your weekend, Tenrusa. I hope it is a fruitful wrestling weekend for you.
Indeed. Have fun, enjoy yourself, and don't go on social media too much. Only to tweet how much fun you're having.
And Matthew Hooks talking about Dallas. They kicked 10 people out? Really? I just saw the one. Dallas is in riot mode. Dude, Dirk was like, "Yeah, I'm going to LA. I'm going to support Luca." You had franchise icon. You put a statue of that man in front of the building. You put his logo on the court. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to support Luca. I'm going to watch his debut. I don't care what the Mavericks are doing."
They lost Luca, Dirk, and the fan base in 1 week.
Tough time. All right, let's get into a little bit of New Japan talk. Huge show. New beginning in Osaka, capped off by one of the biggest moments, I think, in New Japan pro wrestling history. A long time in the making. The return of E.
Oh my God! This guy! I can't believe he does this.
Evil was back, baby. You doubted me, SP3. You said, "Oh, he's not in New Japan. Oh, House of Torture. They're not the top heel group. Oh, what, you fake New Japan fan. Evil. He's gone. He's been removed from the roster page. Nah. Evil. Back. Being as evil as ever. Kicking out the war dogs from the Bullet Club. It's House of Torture only, baby. House of Torture. EVIL. The best moment from New Japan, New Beginning. And
I honestly forgot it happened. I'll be honest. I'm trying to forget that happened, because what preluded was one of my favorite matches of the year so far. I don't know if it was the best, I don't know if anything's gonna top Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd, but man, Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji went
Gabe Kidd's
out
on a heater.
there. Yo, he's on a Wrestler of the Year heater right now. Between the Omega match, the 30-minute draw with Ishii at Battle in the Valley, and then this match here. Then he's about to verse Ishii in Chicago in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Like, he's on, like, honestly, the only thing that can stop him is stuff that's out of his control at this point, because he's going to the top of not only New Japan but this industry, because he's just in the flow right now. He's in his mode right now. Like, you could tell him going out and hearing the chants of Kid or Gabe, and he's like dancing to his song in the middle of the match. He's doing a shoulder block, he's dancing again. I was like, oh, he's in his mode right now, and he's looking jacked. His back looked like a billboard. It was ridiculous. And then Tsuji coming out with the trunks. I was like, oh, there was an evolution. I didn't know. I was like, I'm seeing young Lion Tsuji. Then I saw him over in in the UK when he was the dominant kind of quiet enforcer with Gideon Gray and stuff like that. I saw that side of him. Then I saw him on the comeback as the Gene Blaster. Now we got the final evolution, main event, Yota Tsuji, because these guys went out here and they worked this matchup like it was the main event. You had the kind of the build, the big slaps at the beginning. Then you had the big forearms being trade off as the crowd was roaring. You had them slowing it down and then picking up the pace at the right time. And there's just going on the surge of offense, back and forth, counter, big move, fighting spirit. You had the fighting spirit, the hard hitting action you expect from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then the finish, I did not expect that. I honestly thought that Tsuji would probably win this one, but it's kind of like I have the feeling of not really what I had for Bryan versus Omega, of like, I knew going into Bryan versus Omega that the right decision was the time limit draw. This one, I did not know that was the right decision, but as soon as it happened, I was like, yeah, that was the right decision. They're both champions. They're both on the rise. You can revisit this at any point. It's still hot with the crowd, obviously, by the reaction that this match got. And the double knockout finish, I did not expect that here. So I will give it up to New Japan for that.
I love that they did a double, basically knockout finish, because don't think Gabe Kidd should have been taking a loss. Don't think Yota Tsuji should have been taking a loss. Time limit draw, they just did that with Ishii, so we didn't need to do that again. So the double KO where they just beat the hell out of each other, oh, that was really good stuff. So, like, that was a great match. I mean, the whole top to bottom show was filled with great matches. I'm not gonna lie and say I've watched everything from this show. I didn't get up early to watch it all. I got up in time to watch the stuff that I needed to watch. But I of course checked out Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, because Gabe Kidd he's on one right now. He's looking thick too. Thick boy Gabe Kidd. You know, he's competing in Jersey J-Cup this week, and he didn't make the weight limit. He couldn't be in the tournament because it has a weight limit. And yeah, Gabe Kidd didn't make it. He's a thick boy, Gabe Kidd out here. So that was a great match. But Evil returning is the big news from all of this. He's going to take Yota Tsuji's title. He's going to take Gabe Kidd's title. 2-belt Evil, the way it should be. SP3.
No. No, thank you. House of Torture. It was another noteworthy moment on the show, but I would say that Evil's return was the second biggest return on the show, because the real Musketeer is back.
Nah.
Yuya Uemura is back.
No, Evil.
You don't got no Joya in your soul? You don't got no Joya in your soul, sir?
I think about that every single time I write a Uemura article. I'm like, remember when he was paired with Joe Hendry and it rolled and it lasted like 2 weeks because Uemura went back to Japan? Like, that, man, that could have really been something. They were on to something with that. Every time I write a Yuya article,
they were like, nope. Nope, we're not gonna let you Okada him. Nope.
Yeah. So yes, I think I have a lot of Joya in my soul because I always think about that pairing and how they could have done a whole lot more with that, but it got cut short. It was good to see him back. He's coming off a torn tricep that happened at the end of the G1 Climax. He's been out since September, so it was good to see him back in the ring and making the save for Tai Chi and going after Sonata. Sonata with the hologram Jarrett cosplay. Is this what he's doing?
I was like, what are you? ELP meets Hiromu Takahashi?
Yeah, that
like,
was
what are
ELP
you?
was the other one. I was trying to go away from New Japan, but he had the guitar and everything. I was like,
Oh
what
yeah,
are you
yeah.
doing here?
The guitar was funny, but yeah, that was a pretty good undercard matchup there. That had a lot of heat. That was like the most heated of the non-title matches on the show, and like Tai Chi has become one of like the most popular baby faces in the company, which is hilarious because if you've been a New Japan fan as long as I have for the past decade, I remember when he was the most useless member of Suzuki-gun.
Yeah. Taichi had like turned the channel heat years ago. Just like, oh god, here comes another boring Tai Chi match. His entrance was the best part, the fake singing.
Yes.
Yeah. That rolled. But then the bell rang and it's like, oh god, these matches are awful. Absolutely awful. But good on him for turning around. Tetsuya Naito, Hiromu Takahashi won the IWGP tag team titles, defeated the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks reign ends at like a month with 0 title defenses. The New Japan special, you get the belts for a month or two, you make 0 or no title defenses, and then you lose them. Not super surprising that they lost them. Like, all right, you got your moment, and now you've just lost the titles. Naito's probably best off in tag team matches at this point in his career too. Hiromu can carry the workload with them.
And they needed kind of a title to kind of do they're doing a slow burn transition for Hiromu from junior heavyweight to heavyweight, and you kind of needed to cap that story off by him winning a title. He challenged for the Never Openweight Championship against Hanare last year, and that was a great matchup, and he came up short there, but he really needed the big title win, and after winning the World Tag League, it only made sense. And I like the story of the matchup where the Young Bucks are known for their tag team work, their teamwork in the ring, their precision and everything, but it was the synchronicity, as Hiromu has said, of Hiromu and Naito getting the win. And I love them calling their one of their main finishers is a double clothesline. Yes, the second time in 2 years that a tag team is based off of a double clothesline.
Like, it got over. It worked for Cole and MJF, so
it did, and it worked. It worked on this show here, and it's been working on the tour. So yeah, shout outs to them. I was trying to think of anything else on the undercard. Oh, Drilla Maloney. Man, you want to talk about someone who got jacked again, because Drilla Maloney has been the biggest liar of the junior heavyweight division for over the past 2 years, because that man is not a junior heavyweight. You can't tell me otherwise. And ever since he basically staked his claim to go to heavyweight over the New Beginning tour, he's gotten more jacked. Or maybe it's because he cut his hair. I don't know. Either or. It may be because he cut his hair and he looks more jacked because he cut his hair, or he actually is more jacked, which I wouldn't argue against either one of those arguments. But really damn good matchup. It was like the another one that was the Jeremy Lambert special. I think it was like 11 minutes.
All these matches were, there was even the main event. It was like, oh, here we go, 40-minute New Japan. It's like, nah, it's like 20 minutes. Like, oh, we're cooking here. Let's go. That's like
I was mad surprised when I heard 20-minute call. I was like, wait, what? And Goto's going for the second GTR. I'm like, wait, is this about to be ending? Oh, okay. I was like, you learned from Wrestle Kingdom. Thank you, New Japan.
We don't need these 40-minute main events. No, 20 minutes. That's all we need. Yeah, the 12 to 18 is the sweet spot. for me. But I'm fine with a 20-minute match as long as it makes sense and builds. I'm okay with a 30-minute match as long as it makes sense and builds. There are good like hour-long matches and 40-minute long matches and everything, but sometimes they just like to do them for the sake of doing them, and that was the case at Wrestle Kingdom. It's like, no, knock this off. We don't need all this. But yes, give me more 20-minute main events. New Japan, love that. Love a nice 20-minute main event. Shota shaved his head, by the way. That probably a character change he needed because he needed something after Wrestle Kingdom where the bloom was a little off the rose with him after that weekend. So hopefully this little new direction for him is a nice change, and we'll see if it brings out a change to him more than just, okay, I've shaved my head. Like, you can change your look, but you got to change kind of the style and the persona a little bit too. So we'll see if something happens out of that. He should join House of Torture, honestly.
Oh God, please. We already ruined one of the Musketeers that way. We don't need to ruin the other one. But yeah, this was a needed change. He needs to kind of just shed everything and rebuild again. And like commentary was saying during the show, which I thought Walker Stewart did a great job on his own. And then I thought Clark Connors was great, especially during the Gabe Kidd versus Yota Tsuji match. He was so into the action. It was like the fan on the mic, the fan of Gabe Kidd, but a fan nonetheless on the commentary desk. And Walker has that little touch to him as well. So they did a great job. But yeah, they were talking about how Shota Umino had his like biggest kind of momentum behind him, where everybody thought he could be the ace of this company when he was a young lion. Like, he had a different fire to him, a different passion to him back then that hasn't been around since probably his first couple of months after Excursion, when he made his return and he's facing guys like Will Ospreay. But even then, he had that kind of like dud against Naito in the main event of New Beginning like 2 years ago. So he's had a tough go since returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So you need to kind of shed everything and rebuild again. Hopefully we find the right spot for him. I really wouldn't mind him in the Bullet Club War Dogs. Honestly, I wouldn't mind that.
No, he doesn't need to be in Bullet Club War Dogs. Yeah. Let Gabe Kidd continue to just be the top guy. David Finlay's probably coming back as well, because Evil at least made reference to him. You know, there was talk that David Finlay might be leaving.
It sounded like from because they did a good job, I will say, because I didn't want to talk about him, but they did do a good job with the babyface turn fake out, because the fans did buy it. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it not one bit. I was like, this is evil. He's not turning.
His name is literally Evil. He can't be a babyface.
I was like, he's not turning. Why are y'all getting faked out by this? But they were faked out by the fake babyface turn when he came out, and he didn't have the House of Torture shirt on. He had the all black. Got a good response for his return. So yeah, they did execute that very well. But from his promo and how it came across with the beatdown on Gabe as well as Clark Connors, that it was like the Bullet Club War Dogs are turning babyface.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like, which is, you know, but Gabe Kidd's getting babyface reactions is the thing. So making him, you know, a babyface in Japan isn't the worst idea right now, because he came out of the Kenny Omega match as kind of a babyface star, you know, making Tanahashi cry and everything. Like, Gabe Kidd is such a dickhead. I say that compliment, that it can be tough to want to cheer him, but his story is sort of babyface-ish story of it's sort of like the Ospreay thing, where Ospreay stayed during the pandemic and, you know, was away from his family and went through a really hard time, as a lot of people did during the pandemic. But in Japan, it was even worse here than in America. And people kind of got behind Ospreay with that. And people sort of did the same thing with Gabe Kidd when he's telling his story of, you know, I stayed here, I checked myself into a mental hospital. Like, I went through a really tough time, but I kept going, I kept training, I kept fighting. People were cheering him over Kenny Omega in Japan for Kenny Omega's big return, which is like, yeah, you probably got something as a babyface with this guy. So I'm not super opposed. And David Finlay came out of Wrestle Kingdom weekend looking like a big star and
Sure.
he could be positioned as a top babyface coming out of that weekend. So Bullet Club War Dogs being babyface isn't the worst thing in the world.
And Drilla was getting the barks during the Shingo match today. So yeah, there could be a way to kind of make them babyface right now, and maybe that's what New Japan needs to go with. I honestly though I felt like the right decision to do like long term was to figure out a way to keep David Finlay as a heel, because he's kind of found his like 2020 2021 Jay White mode, because a lot of people will like look at Jay White's overall career in New Japan Pro Wrestling if you didn't watch it in real time, and you'll be like, oh man, they like immediately when he came back they positioned him as a top guy and it must have connected, he must have been good. I was like, no, if you were actually watching it at the time, he comes back, he has like a forgettable matchup with Tanahashi at the Dome. Then they do the whole angle with Kenny Omega. He beats Omega for the US title. He had a matchup with Hangman that wasn't as good as their future matchups, but it was a pretty good matchup for the US title. And then it was really kind of the feud with Juice Robinson over the US Championship that it was like a glimmer of hope. It was like, okay. Then they do the whole angle where he becomes the Bullet Club leader. Then he has the great matchup with Okada at Wrestle Kingdom and wins the championship from Tanahashi after that in another great match. And he had some great matches throughout 2019, but it wasn't until like 2020, 2021, especially the Wrestle Kingdom match with Ibushi in 2021, that you really were like, okay, now he's at the top of his game. Now he's like one of the best heels in wrestling. And it felt like David Finlay was making that transition at Wrestle Kingdom. So I think that the long-term best decision is to keep the War Dogs heel and have David Finlay have the group turn on Gabe Kidd.
Could go there. I could definitely see that happening. Tenruza says Evil comes out with a good shirt, rips it, and it's Evil underneath. His name, whenever he turns babyface and becomes the top babyface in the world, just like he's the top heel in the world, should be Live. That's Evil backwards. Laugh. Love.
Anyway, we've talked enough about New Beginning without talking about the main thing that happened on the show.
We need to talk about the main thing.
Despite Jeremy Lambert disrespectfully trying to put his horse ahead of everything. Excuse me.
As I want to do.
Yes. Hirooki Goto. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I have never heard that term used for a professional wrestler and it be more apropos than Hirooki Goto watching New Japan Pro Wrestling over the past decade and change. But finally, Jeremy, I said this after Wrestle Kingdom, after I watched New Year's Dash. I was like, they might have something here. And then when I heard the reports of the ticket sales being up and they sold more tickets when he was announced as the challenger, I was like, they might have something here. Then as the week's going on and he was talking about dedicating this matchup to his father, I was like, all right, sign me up. I'm here for a Hirooki Goto IWGP title run. I was like, Zack Sabre Jr. accomplished a lot. G1, first ever British star to win the G1, then winning the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, defending it in the UK, going to the Dome and winning back-to-back against Shooter and Ricochet. He accomplished a lot. That reign is able to kind of cement his legacy in New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he can lose it here to Hirooki Goto, give him the great moment. And Hirooki Goto doesn't even have to have a long run himself, but we can have a natural transition to probably a David Finlay or Gabe Kidd title run. But man, this was just, that closing stretch is one of the best I've seen in quite some time. Like, that had the emotion, that had the crowd rocking, that had the great wrestling from both guys, the counter work. You really were wanting it. It felt like it was going to happen, but like Zack Sabre Jr. was hitting Zack drivers out of nowhere. He was going for the submission, going after the elbow that he worked over the whole matchup. Hirooki Goto kept trying to go for the GTR. He couldn't hit it. He would hit all his other big moves. He would kick out of it. But that crowd was just rally. They just got louder and louder to the point when he wins, you cannot hear his music. You just hear Goto, Goto, Goto. Oh my God, that was amazing. Amazing.
They finally did it with Hirooki Goto. Years and years after he won the G1, he finally got the world title. I fully expected Goto. It's Goto, right? I was like, and Goto's just going to lose again. But if they were going to do it, this seemed to be the time to do it. No knock on Zack Sabre Jr., but he got a Wrestle Kingdom main event. He won that. He won the following night against Ricochet. It's like, Zack Sabre Jr. is probably done what he's need to do and what he can do with this title. And I was looking at the landscape like, who is next up? Now, they didn't go with Shota at Wrestle Kingdom. Tsuji's already got a different title right now. Who are you going to elevate in that next spot? And I didn't know if they had anybody to elevate. You didn't want to go back to Naito. And plus, they just put the tag titles on him. But Naito, he's at where he's at there. They just put the tag titles on Hiromu. Tanahashi is in his final year. Like, who can be the next Japanese star that they can elevate off of this, or that they can bridge to the next Japanese star? So when I looked at this match and I saw Goto, I was like, you know what? Why wouldn't they just do Goto? What do they have to lose at this point? Why not just go? Go with Goto. And they did. Still didn't buy it until he actually got the pinfall, until he actually won the match.
I was on, like 4:30 in the morning. I'm just like, please. I'm just pleading with my TV for Goto to please win. That's why I was like, I did not need any coffee, no caffeine. That matchup, that energy of that closing stretch and wanting Goto to win, that was unlike anything. Like, people can, will make the natural comparison to the nearest thing of Cody finishing his story, or even Brian winning at Wembley Stadium. But those two wins, I feel like we all knew they were going to kind of happen. This one, there was a lot of momentum for Goto, but he's 0-8 in IWGP heavyweight title matches. And he's been here since the 2000s. Like, he's been here too long. This would be like if Dolph Ziggler never won the champion, never cashed in Money in the Bank, and he was still around and finally won. This is similar to kind of like the best comparison to anything like recent that I compare it to. It's like Christopher Daniels winning the Ring of Honor World Championship back in 2017, where it just felt like, I don't even know if you can win this, but they told a good story. They made you believe. They made the fans believe in the building, and just to see it all go down. But this was on a much higher level because that crowd in Osaka was one of the best that New Japan has had in a very long time.
Yeah, it was a great crowd, and Goto got his moment. He got to celebrate with his kids, and now he's going to lose the title to Tanahashi at 53rd anniversary. What if they just go with Tanahashi 1 month later?
Imagine that is the person that they would transition to. My hope is that Goto gets this title defense against Tanahashi, gets this title defense against Nagata. David Finlay wins the New Japan Cup. David Finlay beats him at Sakura Genesis.
Okay. I like that. I think they're just going to go with Tanahashi. They're going to ride Tanahashi all the way to Wrestle Kingdom. One last ride for Tanahashi. One last strum.
You're ridiculous. I think I would love it if they booked it. What the two things that I just put out there as far as booking for New Japan, if they do that simultaneously, have David Finlay have the War Dogs turn on Gabe Kidd, and then David Finlay wins the New Japan Cup and wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and then it's natural Gabe wins the G1, and you set up the big matchup for Wrestle Kingdom. First time ever. They did the first time to a Gaijin winning back-to-back dome matches. Why not do first time ever 2 Gaijins? Because these are probably the most two. If David Finlay resigns, these are probably the 2 most loyal Gaijins that they've had in the past like 2-3 decades.
I don't buy they're ever gonna do 2 Gaijins in the main event. It's a tough sell for me. Like, I feel like you got to get a Japanese talent in there. Like, I think Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji can headline Wrestle Kingdom next year. Sure. Like, they can easily run that back, and they obviously left something open by doing a double KO finish at New Beginning in Osaka. Oh, I'm not buying 2 Gaijin. I like your idea. Don't get me wrong. It's a natural story there. I just don't think they're going to do it. And like, until they actually do, didn't think they'd ever put the title on Goto, and they actually did it. I could legitimately. This is partially me just like kind of trolling a little bit and then bigging up Tanahashi, one of my favorites. Tanahashi wins the title, holds it all the way to Wrestle Kingdom, loses it to Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom. Gabe Kidd is Tanahashi's final match. Gabe Kidd wins the title from Tanahashi. Real passing of the torch.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
See, you're sold now.
No, another person that I thought of, because the story of the last 2 years has been the nearly men finally winning the title with Sanada, and now you got Goto. There's only one last nearly man for them to crown.
Oh.
Tomohiro Ishii winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
Probably gonna wait another couple of years on that.
Ain't no couple more years. What are you talking about?
It's not like they did Sanada 1 year and then Goto the following year. You know, they waited a little while with Sanada to go to Goto. Yeah, so that's why I said a couple more years for Ishii. Thank you, Tenruza. Look, it's partial trolling of Tanahashi holding the title the entire year, and I don't think Tanahashi can do a G1 either.
Like, and we just did Naito, guys. Like, I understand, Tenruza. You probably think that this is great booking in your head, but you probably not watching it in real time. It's not going to be great in real time watching Tanahashi main event all these shows. Tanahashi, I think they got him in the right role right now. Him opening the show, he's a good opening match guy.
It would be great booking to him be in the main event, because it would ensure we're not going to get these 40-minute main events. Like, hell yeah, let's do these 15-minute Tanahashi matches. Let's go. We don't need these long, drawn-out epics.
Going at fucking freaking a negative 2.3 speed, like that Toge Makabe matchup that opened up the show this morning that just had a bunch of clunkiness at the end. Like, they didn't know what they were doing at the end there. And Tanahashi couldn't do an Okada roll, yet that was the finish.
Yeah, it's... Tanahashi's in his last year, everybody. All right? Cut the man some slack. I
am. I didn't make a big deal on Twitter. I could have, but I was just like, yeah, that just kind of fell apart at that. It was going, but it was still entertaining. It was really bad at the end that it was kind of entertaining. So
you should just beat all these dudes with a sling blade, and that's it. Not even do the high fly flow. Yeah, I'm worried when he goes up to the top rope. I'm very concerned every time he goes to the top.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Just sling blade. Just charge, sling blade, 1, 2, 3. Beats everybody.
Yeah, that's the best move. Only pull out the high fly flow like 2 more times. Do it for Dominion. Do it for Dominion and Wrestle Kingdom. Just that. Just leave it at that, Tana. I got it.
And the dragon screw. And dragon screws is a beautiful.
Do the clover leaf. His clover leaf where he stumbles when he sits down. I also gotta mention that junior tag team title match, which I thought was a great match with the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles beating Roppongi Revice, and then they also had Taji Ishimori and Robbie X challenging them for the titles after the matchup. Kosei Fujita, He's the future of the junior heavyweight division. Keep your eyes out on him. If you're not familiar with him, you should get familiar with them. But him and Robbie Eagles make like a perfect junior heavyweight tag team. Like, and that matchup was like nonstop action. It's like your PWG banger type tag team matches where it starts off as a tag team match and then it just turns into a tornado tag for most of the way, where it's just nonstop action throughout. That was a really fun match. And Konosuke Takeshita, man, what a week he's about to have. He just went out there and had a straight up banger with Boltin Oleg in Boltin Oleg's best match of his career. And now he's got to travel to Australia, and he's probably going to have a match of the year candidate with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
Anything else from New Japan, New Beginning, and Osaka?
I think that covers it all pretty much. I think, yeah. There was just some stuff was set up. Oh, Roye Uyawa came out to challenge Takeshita. So
yeah.
Another young guy stepping up to the plate. So yeah, just a lot of the youth movement. Guys like Uemura, Uyawa, Tsuji, Gabe Kidd, all standing out on this show, and then ending off with a veteran that's been so loyal, been so hardworking for the company, winning the championship. An all-time great show. Somehow, some way, I thought Wrestle Dynasty set the bar for show of the year, but I think this one today was a little bit better.
If you haven't watched it, it's on New Japan World. Everyone can go check that out. I got to catch up on the undercard stuff since I did not catch all of the undercard stuff. I watched the main stuff to hit the high points, mainly for Evil, the GOAT, Evil. Couple super chats here. Let's see. Tenruza saying, hope to see the Bucks at Grand Slam. Need Swerve and Hurt Syndicate too. Might be out of luck on all of those. I would not get my hopes up on those guys. You know, hopefully it happens. Hopefully it happens, but not get my hopes up. Maybe the Bucks. I don't think Swerve and Hurt Syndicate are going to be there. I think even Hurt Syndicate, they were making the media rounds at Super Bowl week, and they pretty much said they weren't going to be there. So if they are, it's a surprise, but I don't think you're going to see them. Swerve, Ricochet, not sure if they're going to be there either. Bucks might make a surprise after the Kenny stuff. You never know. Yeah. Tenruza also saying, oh, I apologize for Drake saying beef is still on here in Melbourne. Better not try anything with the suit still on. You can take him back now. Super Bowl halftime, most viewed. I saw that Drake clip where he's like the beef flips. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Knock it off. Go be a father. Stop it.
Go raise your kids. Where are your kids at? Where are your kids at? What are we doing?
You lost, dude. Just go.
You lost. This is like the worst loss in hip-hop history, and you just keep making it worse because you keep dragging it. Like, instead of doing the Jay-Z losing in ether and moving on and making a new album to make people forget, you haven't done that.
Isn't he putting out an album on Friday? Isn't it?
I wouldn't care.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing. Hold on. Drake new album 2025. That's what I'm going to Google here. Yeah, it is called. Oh, it's him and Party Next Door. Yeah, they're putting out an album on Friday. So it's a collaborative album. It's not a Drake solo album. It is called.
My dude, he just embarrassed you in front of 50 million people.
It is called Some Sexy Songs for You. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
No one wants to hear that shit. Your ex just crip walk at your funeral.
That ruled. Absolutely ruled. You know he's probably going to talk about Serena in this album. He's going to talk about some nonsense. He's going to do the passive-aggressive Drake thing. It's going to be awful. Oh, here's another. Yeah, I know he was going to do a solo album at some point this year as well. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to that just because I want to see what he actually says on that. I'm not expecting much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting much out of it, but I am looking forward to see what he says. This collaborative album, especially the title of this, I'm like, oh God, you're just going to do. Yeah. This is where we like Drake though. We like Drake with the melodies. We don't like Drake when he acts tough. So I like Drake when he acts tough because it's funny. That's hilarious.
It is kind of funny. It is very, very funny. I mean, he just embarrassed you in front of 50 million people. with two of your exes. Because I heard you when you was with SZA. Damn, that's rough.
I don't know if I heard that one. The Serena one was very, very prominent. Definitely remember that one. He still sings about Serena. Terrible. Terrible.
Poor guy. Poor guy. What did you
I
think
would.
about the halftime performance?
What's up?
What did you think about the halftime performance?
Oh, that was great. That was fantastic. It was for me though. Like I'm a Kendrick fan,
Yeah.
so I'm like I'm gonna probably enjoy this no matter what. But I love that he did Euphoria since that's still my favorite track from the Beef. I love the whole story he told with it from start to
Yeah.
finish. So yeah, I thought it was great. But again, it was for me. I know a lot of people were upset because
A
they're
lot
right.
of people. I was like,
Well,
either white or they're Drake fans,
yeah, that's about it.
or they're full white.
I would love to get Busby on the show. Tenruza, he rules. He's in the Grapsody chat a lot. I interact with him on the whenever I pop on Ask Grapsody. He's always there, and he's a big Eminem fan too. So that's why I also like him. We have that in common. But he always every time he tweets about like Drake or Kendrick, he gets like 70,000 likes on some of that stuff. It's insane.
Wow.
His numbers when he
Yeah.
argues with the Drake fans, it rules. Absolutely rules.
That's awesome.
Man. All right. Then
Gotta
Twin
talk about the
Blade.
headline after you're done
That's,
with the super chats.
that's where I'm going. I got it, SP3.
Oh, look
I
at
got
this
it.
guy. Look, I just read the super chat. Look at this guy out here.
I know what I'm doing sometimes, every now and again. Ben Twin Blade says, I really hope Ricky, Miro, and Malakai take a year or so to do the indies before jumping to the Fed. Going to see Love Hurts tonight. It looks good. Enjoy your evening. I don't think they're taking a year. I don't think they're taking a year to before they're jumping. I think Malakai's coming back pretty soon. Miro, I don't know. I don't know where Miro's like heads at with this stuff. So to set this up, and then Ricky, we'll get into Ricky. So to set this up, yesterday, a lot of people noticed that Ricky Starks, Malakai Black, and Miro were no longer listed on the AEW roster page. Fightful Select confirmed that all three are no longer under AEW contract. All three had been looking to make their exits for quite some time and removed from the roster page on February 10th. Malakai Black's original deal could have been signed well into 2027, at least per Tony Khan's own words a couple years back. Fightful had reported in December that Malakai Black would be leaving AEW in the coming months, and by January, it had reported that by January, had reported that he would no longer be on TV. There were references to Malakai being gone. Will Ospreay referenced it. Cope referenced it. They turned him into a dog in that promo with Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart. Miro has not wrestled since 2023 at AEW World's End against Andrade El Idolo, and it had been discussed for potential creative throughout the year. He's healthy and has been cleared for quite some time, but Fightful reported that he'd asked for his release quite a while back. We're told the situation had gone radio silent for quite some time before the release was official. Miro had not been brought up creatively from what we heard in about 6 months, and most everyone we spoke to in AEW had not expected to see him again. Miro signed a long-term contract extension in early 2022 that would have kept him in the company until at least early 2026. Ricky Starks had asked AEW in late 2023 to not pick up his option that was coming due in the spring of 2024. AEW did, and they did not use Starks after that period. We're told he was still open to working and seeing out his AEW deal. Starks was blocked from working a series of GCW shows before his release. His deal would have been up in a few months. We're told all three of these talents are free to go wherever they choose, and there is not non-competes associated with the releases. So all three are gone. Everybody has fantasy booked Malakai, Ricky, and Miro back in WWE, or two of them back in WWE for Ricky's sake, WWE for months now, when it looked like they were all unhappy or on their way out. And now we have arrived to that point. So SP3, what do you make of AEW granting these three releases or granting these three departures and letting them go on their way?
It was the right decision. It's a situation where it's better late than never type of thing. I think that I always believe that when a person is ready to leave, we should just figure out a way to kind of split from one another. If you've gotten to the point where you just want to leave here completely and you don't want to be here, it's going to not only affect the way that you work for the company, I think that it's going to affect the people around them and who they work with and what they say to the people they work with. And it's going to create a bad atmosphere, a bad work environment. And I think that's what's happened with AEW. And a lot of the people that started saying, oh, I want to leave, I want to go back to WWE, started in 2022, shortly after Brawl Out. So a lot of this stems from one person kind of being in that standpoint of they didn't want to be here. In Punk's case, he never asked to leave, but after everything in the handling of the Bucks and the Bucks situation and the Hangman situation, he had that vibe, and all the stories that we heard from CM Punk had that reasoning to believe that he did not want to be there, and he was probably expressing that. And then you had other people like Malakai Black back in 2022, who it was reported did ask for his release, which it was declined. And then he was continued to be used, but he was never quite used to his fullest potential the way that a lot of us thought he would. And a lot of that stemmed from even before he asked for his release. I thought that his initial debut was one of the best in AEW history, and they never really capitalized on the momentum of that Malakai Black and Cody feud. Malakai Black won that first match. Cody did that fake retirement, and then he just came back and beat him. Like it was he beat him at Grand Slam, and then the final match, then Cody beat him. And then he beat him in that tag team matchup at Full Gear, if I remember correctly. But that was kind of the first misstep for Malakai Black. And then they never really used him or utilized him well as a singles performer. And some people will say, oh, that came down to injuries, or oh, he's washed and all this other stuff. But I think that we could have gotten more than what we got out of Malakai Black. In the case of Ricky Starks, yeah, he's just a flat out missed opportunity. It might be one of the biggest in AEW history because of what he could accomplish outside of the company. And I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that he goes straight to WWE, because I think that Ricky is very smart and understands the business and understands that he's leaving at a time where two other former WWE talents are probably going to come back to the company, and they are probably have spots on the main roster. He will probably have to start, or the right thing for him to start is in NXT. So I could see him going to the other developmental brand of TNA for a little run and then coming over to WWE. I could see something like that. But I think that Ricky long-term might be the biggest missed opportunity in AEW history. Miro's Redeemer and God's Favorite Champion run were fantastic. They were so great. You kind of felt like he was finally going to reach that potential that he always had in WWE, and then they just floundered it. It's his whole 4 year run is one of the weirdest in AEW history.
I don't know what Miro wants at the moment, because he wasn't on TV the entire 2024. He didn't do indies. Yeah. He was very out of the public eye for a lot of things. He was doing, I guess, Twitch stream for a while, and he just wasn't doing anything the entirety of 2024. So I don't know if he wants to go back to WWE. I don't know what he wants. I don't know if he wants to fully continue in wrestling. No idea. That's a question for Miro. So I'm not going to book him in WWE anytime soon. If he returns, if that's what he does once and that's what he ends up doing, good on him. But for right now, it doesn't seem like he has a ton of interest when it comes to wrestling, just based on what we saw and didn't see in 2024. Malakai seems kind of a foregone conclusion to WWE. He wanted that. He more or less said that's what he wanted. His wife works there. I know people are already referencing, oh, Chad Gable, Dark Arts Lucha. Is that a Malakai reference? Because he has the Dark Arts gym. So maybe that's where he shows up. I think others are higher on Malakai than I am as far as his WWE potential, just because he's a little bit older. His gimmick is, I feel like there's a cap on how far that's going to go. I know Triple H booked him strong in NXT, loved him in NXT, but look how a lot of those guys were in NXT and look where they are now. Like, it's not that they're down on the main roster, but Karrion Kross is in a certain position. Johnny Gargano's in a certain position. Tommaso Ciampa is in a certain position. They're all doing well. None of them are main event guys none of them are main event guys on the main roster. They all got a nice little spot, but they're not where they were compared to NXT, where they were in the main event. Andrade, another guy, main event in NXT, main roster. He's in a spot on the main roster. So that's kind of where I see Malakai as well. Is there's a spot for him. Okay.
I firmly disagree. He has the one factor that these guys that you named didn't have. Paul Heyman. Anyone who was a 2019 Raw Paul Heyman push guy has a position because they're able to work with the bloodline. Drew McIntyre being the best case of that, where he really got his first big push on the main roster was with Paul Heyman in charge. And I think that Paul Heyman is going to be advocating for Malakai Black. I think that Triple H is going to be high on him as well. I think that he's going to come back to a relatively upper mid card position. I think a little bit higher than where Andrade's at.
Riddick Moss had Paul Heyman advocating for him.
That's nice. That's nice. He wasn't a Triple H guy as well. Like, and that's the factor of two. That's a factor of two. You were mentioning guys that were Triple H guys on the main roster. I'm saying he's also a Paul Heyman guy. Riddick Moss was never a Triple H guy. But Malakai Black is both a Heyman guy and a Triple H guy. I think that he's going to have a higher position than what you think.
Okay. I don't see it. I think there's a spot for him. I think there's a cap on, especially if he wants to do the spooky stuff. There's a cap on that kind of stuff. Like, there's just only so far.
Regime.
What?
With this regime, yeah.
Yeah, there's only so far that's going to go. You know, someone pointed out Roman's going to take this black mist to the face. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. No. I just have to take black mist to the face and I'm off for 3 months? Sure.
No, Roman will take a beating before that. They put that little TikTok clock in front of Roman Reigns. He said, TikTok your ass out of here. I ain't doing that shit. So, no, Roman ain't doing that kind of stuff. Like, I think Malakai has a nice spot as a mid-card guy. I don't know if he's going to go further than that. He's also, again, he's older, which that doesn't, everyone in WWE is old at this point. But I just don't know if he's going to be at that top level when he comes, if he comes to WWE. I just don't. Starks is the guy that I think can really ascend because there's a real factor to him. There's obviously the charisma, and he's good enough in ring, especially with the WWE style, that he won't be hampered or overshadowed like he could have been in AEW. I don't know about starting him in NXT. It feels like if you start there, you might be there for too long. And that would be a concern with Starks. That's the concern with Ethan Page right now. It's like, all right, when's Ethan Page actually going to get that call up? Or is he just going to be in NXT for another year on this stuff? I think Starks is a guy you can immediately slot onto the main roster.
I don't think so. He doesn't have the exposure of the guys that have started off on the main roster, in my opinion. Like AJ Styles was the top guy in TNA and went to New Japan and was the top guy and leader of the Bullet Club. Thus, him going to the main roster just made sense. The Good Brothers were the top tag team in New Japan Pro Wrestling and one of the bigger acts in the Bullet Club as well. So them going to the main roster, basically attached to AJ Styles, that made sense. Penta was a AEW World Tag Team Champion and one of the first signings over there, as well as a former TNA World Champion, a Lucha Underground's top star, a top star over in AAA. Ricky Starks, he's had a good run in AEW and a very good short run in NWA. That's not the same. I think that if you debut him on the main roster, you are risking blowing whatever ascension that you think he's going to be ready for.
You debut him on the main roster, Raw after WrestleMania, he gets a pop. He gets a big pop.
He's gonna get a pop. Yeah, that's a moment. That's just a moment.
Right,
WWE is really good,
carries.
really good at creating moments, but sometimes they don't always capitalize on them. New Day. Sorry. Oh God, had the New Day stuck in my throat. They're very good at that. It's very good moments that we amplify and we say it's the greatest heel turn of all time, and then they can barely get 30 seconds on the show to do a beatdown.
Okay, I'm with you, but that's on them to follow up on that. The whole point here is where Ricky Starks slots in. You can slot him in on the main roster. You get him the big moment, Raw after WrestleMania, and then you build from there. That's what they have to do. That's essentially what they've done with Penta. They gave him the big moment, they gave him the teaser, and they've kind of built from there. They've given him more moments since then. And he's had a steady diet of opponents since then. Like, you can do similar things with Ricky Starks. I think slotting him in NXT immediately, just there's too much. I look at Ethan Page, who is doing well in NXT, who at least upped that brand a little bit. But then you just got other guys like Alexis King, who Ricky Starks is higher on
like, yeah, come on.
So,
like,
yeah,
Ricky Starks is higher than Ethan Page, and NXT is devoid of male stars. Like, devoid. The biggest need in this company is male headline stars on the rise in NXT. That's why Ricky Starks is more needed on NXT. That's why Ricky Starks would want to start on NXT, because he immediately comes into a top position on WWE television, regardless of the brand. And it's a brand that's red hot right now with the ratings. No other show is gaining ratings in WWE. Not Raw. That's Pilgrims, or has basically pulverized that number from their premiere episode, and now they're below 3 million on Netflix. Not 3 hours of SmackDown. Sure, is not rising in the ratings right now. NXT is, but the one weakness of NXT is they have no male stars. They have Obafemi. They have Trick Williams, which we've kind of seen the flaws of him as a main eventer. Great entrance. Over like Rover, good babyface, can have a great match with a great wrestler, cannot have a great match with anybody else. So, like, that's the weakness with him. So if you only have really one guy in Obafemi, who, honestly, let's be honest, there's a weakness with him, can't go over 15 minutes. You need somebody. You need somebody desperately. And this place has not had a male star who can be depended on to be the top guy since freaking Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes got called up to the main roster. So what the hell are we doing here?
Put Malakai Black in NXT. Put Ricky on the main roster. Put Malakai Black in NXT. That's what I would do.
I'm not gonna bash you on that, because I did make that suggestion in a recent feature.
You want a star on NXT? Go put former NXT champion.
I'm literally going to. I've talked to Corey Brennan about we go into recruit in the UK scene when I get back out there. Like, we need some stars on this NXT brand. Be having like this NXT brand is like the exact opposite of like 2000s WWE. It'd be like one male match and a whole bunch of women's matches because they got no male stars. I'm not complaining about that. I enjoy the hell out of the weekly show, but I'm just saying this place needs some top star. And I'm sorry, I'm not disrespecting Javon Evans, but let's be real here. He's 20 years old. He's a long-term project. He's gonna be on NXT for the next 3 years or so. So you can take your time with his rise up the ranks. He is going to be a top star. He's not a top star right now because that's just where they position him at. They give him some teases as a top star because they have none. That's the reason why I have a 19-year-old teasing with the main event. Not only because he's really that damn good, it's really because they don't have anybody else, guys. So this place needs it. And I'm sorry for all the Obafemi fans that's like, oh my god, SP3 hot take, you're bashing Obafemi. Name the litany of 15-minute Obafemi matches. And no, it's not a bad thing that he can't go over 15 minutes, but yeah, I mean, I've been in this industry that has complained about Goldberg not going over 15 minutes, and I'm just saying, like, there's a guy here, he's gonna be a star if you just keep him under 15 minutes, but it just is what it is.
I don't want 15-minute Obafemi matches. That sounds terrible to me. Give me a good 10 to 15-minute match with Obafemi. Don't go over that.
It's not a hot take. It's the truth. It's not a hot take. It's a hot take if it's something that's not true but has a kernel of truth. This is all facts.
All facts. No hot takes. Ten Ruza says, don't know what a Triple H guy is now, Cedric Alexander. And I don't know if he was a Triple H guy. Triple H just endorsed him after the police signed Cedric. And then that was kind of that when after the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, like
Good Brothers were Triple H guys.
I've never considered.
I never considered Cedric a Triple H guy.
I just considered that crowd in full. He's a Full Sail University guy because they pressured Triple H into signing.
Yeah, but Good Brothers are definitely Triple H guys, and I mean they got released. So I don't think. Again, being a Triple H guy, being a Paul Heyman guy, especially when they were these guys 5 years ago, I don't know how much weight that holds nowadays when they've been gone the entire 5 years. It's not like Gargano and Ciampa who have at least been around for the 5 years. Like Malakai's been gone for 5 years. Like relationships change, friendships change. I don't know how they're seen. I don't know how Malakai's seen by those guys at this point. I'm sure Heyman will still advocate and help because that's Paul Heyman, and Triple H will do what he can, but I'm not putting too much stock in just because Malakai was the NXT champion back in the day and had Paul Heyman advocating for him 5 years ago that he's going to be a top player on the main roster. I think there's a spot for him. I just don't think it's a main event or upper main event spot. I think he's going to feud with Shinsuke and they're going to have a mist off or something. That'll be the spot for him.
I think you're underestimating the factor of having two guys in high positions in your favor. So, but we shall see. We shall see. I don't know where Malakai is gonna be at in regards to the hierarchy in WWE because it's very weird and all over the place right now currently.
But there's also just a lot of guys that I just don't see him as leaping. That's the other point to this. Is like, I'm going to put him over Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, LA Knight. Like, I'm not putting him over these guys. I just don't know. I think he's a kind of a tier below them. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they see it. They view him as a higher level than that. And maybe it turns into big things for him.
I would say, okay, I think the most realistic kind of taking your criticisms, your concerns, and taking what I think into play, I think that the safest projection for Malakai Black in WWE is Finn Balor.
Maybe he's the new member of Judgment Day. Finn doesn't want any new members, but maybe Malakai is the new member.
It could, and he takes over the groove. Oh my God! Bring the darkness to the Judgment Day. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Joe Pearl, this guy out here going on Cage Match and researching every Obafemi match over 15 minutes. When I said, tell me the litany of Obafemi matches that is over 15 minutes, and I meant without researching, but I appreciate you doing the research. And
why can't he do research?
because if you can't say it off the top of your head, it might not be that memorable. Which that Halloween Havoc match against Tony D, not that memorable. It's a good plunder brawl, but not that memorable. The Wesley match is exactly the match I'm talking about. That's what I figured out. He cannot go over 15 minutes. So thank you for reminding me of that matchup when he looked gassed after 12 minutes. And Joe Pearl, it's a 15-minute triple threat match. He probably laid down for about 2 minutes. So there you go.
Hating on Obafemi. Can't believe you. Can't believe you.
I will give myself credit. I very tore down the receipts very, very well in about like a minute. That was very well done by me, I want to say. Thank you. I didn't even expect to do a rant today. You got me ranting and stuff, man. Give Ricky Starks a chance. Give Ricky. I am being black. I am about Black History Month. I'm trying to get Ricky Starks a main event spot on NXT. This man trying to get him on main event. Penta was on main event yesterday. What are we doing?
Who's trying to get him on main event?
You, sir. You. Oh, let's debut him on a Raw after WrestleMania. And then when his ass is on main event, I'm going to be here on a Tuesday.
That's not my fault, though.
I told ya.
That's not my fault if they put him on main event. No, it is your fault.
It is your fault. You don't know the power you have, sir.
I wish I had power. Are you kidding me? None of these companies would be in business. I'd run them all to the ground. Dude, Dia Hale would be the champion of every single brand. It would rule. Ryan says, Ricky Starks revives Chase U, names it Stroke Daddy U. I wish they'd do something with that, you know?
That would kind of be good. Joe Pearl, how dare you say our show has no power when Jeremy basically manifested evil coming back on a great New Japan show that he could have talked about a million other things, but he manifested evil on a great New Japan show, and you're telling me we don't have power?
I made Bryan Danielson champion as well. I'm taking full credit for that.
Exactly. I remember that.
Will Chisholm says, KO is a Triple H guy. He stayed when Vince was there. Kevin Owens is a Triple H guy. He's in a high spot, too. Like, I understand that he might not win the championship, but they've always had something for Kevin Owens. He does that. You know, he's always in a top spot. He's main evented 2 WrestleManias. Now, one of them, I guess both of them were technically under Vince. But yeah, they've always got something for Kevin Owens. So and we'll see. We'll see where they slot these guys in. It wouldn't shock me if Ricky goes to NXT first. I just think you got an opportunity to just run with someone new. I know people are saying, Ricky's 35. It's not like he's young. Yeah, that's very true. 35's young in wrestling nowadays, though. It feels like everybody's 40 year old.
WWE,
yeah.
The newest stars that WWE have made in the last 2-3 years include 41-year-old LA Knight, 41-year-old Damian Priest, and 39-year-old Jey Uso.
Yeah. Yeah, 35 is young. And it's not necessarily about the age all the time. It is about the television exposure. And Ricky Starks ain't been on television, especially over the last year. So he feels fresh and new. If Ricky Starks was 40 and we're talking about the same pattern, just a different age, he would still feel fresh and new on WWE television, even though he was 40. I don't think they should wait on a guy who's 35 and just go to NXT for a couple of years. And then when they maybe do finally call him up, then he's 37. And then people are like, why are they giving this 37-year-old a chance? You're not going to win with the age portion of it. So go ahead, put him on main roster and do something with him. I can't help it if they just put him on main event. That's not my fault if they just put him on main event. I think he should debut the Raw after WrestleMania. I think he should call LA Knight Bug Eyes, and they should go on and do a huge feud off of that.
Okay. I don't see
What?
that being a huge feud, but okay.
That's a good feud. Kidding me? LA Knight's over, brother.
Okay. You see, you say so. He's not as over as he was 2 years ago. Not as over as he was last year.
But is he over?
Yeah, he's over.
Okay.
It's a good reaction.
Okay. So why are you being a hater?
I'm just saying I feel like LA Knight's another guy that they missed a peak on. Which there's a lot of guys. Which I'm not complaining, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say I did put out there over on True Hill Heat. One of my predictions for 2025 was that this would be the last great booking year for Triple H. And I'm already seeing signs that I think I'm gonna be right. Or no, I already see signs that I think I'm gonna be wrong. Where I don't think it's gonna be a great booking.
You're not excited for Cody and Solo to run it back?
Cody and Solo, dude, I like literally immediately texted True Hill Heat chat. I was like, oh my god, they're doing Cody and Solo again? Again? That's how they brought back Solo? I thought when they originally advertised Solo return, I was like, yeah, just do the Jacob Fatu turns on him and takes over the new bloodline. Just do that immediately after he loses the tribal combat, because that's the only way for this story to go. But to him to go back to attacking Cody, and the fact that might get on the Elimination Chamber card, but Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky can't. What are we doing?
I don't hate that that's not on the Chamber card if they had another women's match on there. You've got to...
What women's match?
Oh, I've said Chelsea Green and Trish Stratus.
Okay, that's gonna feel kind of random. I wish they would have like started that in the Rumble.
Yeah, they probably should have done a Rumble spot, but it's not
it's gonna feel very random. It's gonna feel like when Lita just randomly came back to do the Saudi match.
You do Chelsea with some segment on Friday, and Trish interrupts her, and you're off from there. And that's all.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, they can probably get it together, but it's still gonna be random.
Chelsea and Nikki is my other suggestion for Elimination Chamber.
Also random, and these are all matches that feel like they should be at WrestleMania.
Well, I can do all these matches at WrestleMania.
But
so many multi-person matches at WrestleMania.
No, but I'm saying Chelsea defending the U.S. Championship against a legend should probably be the WrestleMania match.
Why not both? Why not Trish at Elimination Chamber and Nikki at WrestleMania?
Because you had already started building Rhea and Io since like December, so you probably should have just made that the PLE match. You're just putting together on the second week after the Royal Rumble.
It's not fully random. Chelsea in Toronto with the United States title going against a legend.
No, that's cool. That's cool in a premise, but they have not done any work to tease that or set that up. So it's gonna feel
the work has been Chelsea Green rules. That's been the work.
Yeah, Chelsea Green, and I'm not arguing against this to say that Chelsea won't excel at this, but I'm just saying that there should probably be other things that you focus on right now, like your other mid-card women's title, which just felt unnecessary from the beginning. And the way you booked Lyra Valkyria since she won the title has been disgusting. I literally messaged so many people last night. Like, does WWE hate Lyra?
I don't know if they hate her, but I'm in agreement that, we talked about it on yesterday's shows. Lyra should not have lost her first singles match, her first match since winning the title. But it also didn't feel like Bayley was going to lose. That's why I just questioned the match altogether of like, why are you going to have either of them lose?
I literally responded in the chat yesterday when you were saying Lyra was going to win. I was like, Lyra's not winning. I was like, couldn't like, the reason why I'm asking people if WWE hates Lyra is because I'm like, you gave her the title for no reason. You just gave her the title to be like, oh, the call up got a title. That's cool. She was the inaugural champion. Cool story. Oh, she's in the front row. Oh, she's doing a backstage segment. Oh, she gets 1 minute of TV time. Oh, she's a big loser. Oh, she's backstage hanging out with other big losers. Oh, another big loser is now challenging her for a title. Oh, this is, what are we doing? Huh? Like, and Becky Lynch on the sidelines right there. Like, that's the way to get people interested in the Women's Intercontinental Championship. You already have a ready-made story that's actually set up. Unlike Trish Stratus versus Chelsea Green or Nikki Bella versus Chelsea Green, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria have history to play off of. So just have a comeback and get us interested in this IC title run and Lyra Valkyria, because no one's interested in either right now.
They're doing a story with Lyra, though. It's not good, but like they're doing a story with her. I'm not gonna knock that they're not doing anything with her. Again, it's not good. They're just making her a loser, and making your champion a loser is not a good story. But they are doing something with her. Chelsea's been setting up facing legends forever, by the way, with all the references, especially referencing Divas era and everything. Just being Chelsea Green sets all of that up. I also think we got a view, I certainly have, these PLEs are just shows to make a bunch of money for the company. Yeah. Just like a Raw is as well. But they view these PLEs as we need 1 or 2 big draws, which they have with the women's and men's chamber. The chamber is the draw, and they've stacked the men's chamber. John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, probably Seth Rollins, Logan Paul. They've stacked the men's chamber. And then you've got Liv and Alexa so far, and Bianca in the women's chamber. Maybe I hope we don't get a Cody and Solo match, but maybe you're going to get Cody and Solo at that show as well. I think it's perfectly
and that's
fine.
that's already a problem, because you literally don't have to rehash a matchup that we've seen way too many times on this show. If you have 2 chamber matches, then like, I'm just saying, you basically last week's Raw set up 2 other matches for the pay-per-view with the closing angle with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then Rhea and Io. So I was like, you've only announced 2 matches for your PLE. Why are you announcing matches for the Raw after?
They're giving you well in advance.
Why not? Why not book for the PLE? That's the important show, or it's supposed to be the important show you're building to.
They don't book for the PLE.
They obviously
because they book around the PLE. They've done this with SmackDown as well. It's like, oh, why isn't this tag team title match on Money in the Bank? Why isn't it on the pay-per-view? Instead, it's on the SmackDown before the PLE. This is just what they do. They book big matches on SmackDown and Raw because they want those shows to draw and have something interesting as well.
I get that, but if you have 2 stars of the quality of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, I just thought that would be a great another matchup to add to the hype, add to the intrigue of Elimination Chamber in Toronto. You already are going to have people interested in seeing the Elimination Chamber, but the best Elimination Chamber pay-per-views also have another match that was memorable. I always go back to the 2009 Elimination Chamber, which I still think is one of the best B pay-per-views WWE ever had, which it had the 2 Elimination Chambers. The first one where Edge loses the WWE title in like the first 2 minutes, and then you get that great closing stretch with Jeff Hardy, Triple H, and The Undertaker, and then you follow it up with Edge breaking his way into the Raw chamber by attacking Kofi, and then eventually winning the WWE Championship at the end of the night. That show also had Randy Orton versus Shane McMahon. Not the best match, but it was a good plunder brawl with Shane throwing his soup bones out there in the streets. But it's a memorable enough matchup that I can remember it 15 years later, because that was the 3rd big match on the show. The Elimination Chamber, WWE shows like that have Chamber or Rumble, it's always a better show if you have a third other show to go along with the titular matchups. The Royal Rumble by the end of the year will be viewed as one of WWE's better shows of the year, is because not only were the Royal Rumbles either good to great, they had another great matchup on that show and another match that was good. That's the ones that are most memorable. If you're gonna have a PLE, at least make it memorable. That's all I want. Make it a good show that is slightly better than your weekly TV. I'm fine with putting big matches and title matches on TV, but let's also put big matches and title matches on the PLEs as well.
But we don't know what else is on the PLE.
I know that whatever's on the PLE does not have as much build as Rhea and EO. And I'm not as interested as I am in EO and Rhea than any other matchup that they're going to book on this show, probably outside of Kevin Steen versus El Generico.
What if they book Cody Rhodes against Jacob Fatu?
They're not, so I don't have to worry about that. They'll probably do Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, which is a match that actually has some build to it. So I wouldn't mind that. But that's about it.
But what about Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa?
Ew. That's disgusting. What are we talking about?
Main event anywhere in the world. That match headlined a stadium, SP3. You're telling me that's not a ton of build? Tell me that's not a prestigious match?
Did they headline a stadium, or did Roman's return headline a stadium?
Roman's return wasn't announced.
I mean, it was all but announced.
It wasn't announced. They didn't say, hey, Roman's coming back on this show.
They basically CM Punk'd us. They CM Punk first danced us. Basically alluded to it as much as humanly possible, so we knew it was going to happen.
But it wasn't official.
I mean, CM Punk's return to wrestling wasn't official.
The name on the marquee was Cody and Solo.
Fair point. I mean, a lot of people think that the EO and Rhea matchup is going to go to a no contest. What do you think?
Tired of these no contest.
I don't want more than one triple threat at WrestleMania myself.
They should make the whole show triple threat matches.
They should call it WrestleMania triple threat.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like TNA when they did the all cage pay-per-view and then they haven't done like a cage match in like 20 years. That's what WWE needs to do. The all triple threat pay-per-view.
That's hilarious. I mean, our good friend of the channel and of course wrestling media legend Bill Apter is convinced that they're going to do Cena, Punk, and Cody at WrestleMania.
Cena, Punk, and Cody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think there's still avenues for a lot of different stuff. I'm not totally convinced we're going to get Jey Uso against Gunther. I know Jake said that's his match. That's who he picked. He called the shot last night. He said, I want you at WrestleMania, undisputed WWE title. I'm not convinced. Just not.
I am. I'm convinced. I think they made it this early because they want 2 months to try to convince people that this is worthy of the main event.
Maybe. I mean, they gotta get there because I don't care to see the same story that I saw last year with Sammy and Gunther, with now just Jay and Gunther.
I mean, I won't say, but I think The Rock fucked up WrestleMania more than last year.
By not showing up this year?
Not showing up this year. He fucked it so up. Like, it just feels like I did a whole WrestleMania predictions card, and I had like 18 matches, but like I was not confident in any of them. So when one of them was announced last night in Jey versus Gunther, I got so happy. I'm like, I have no idea. This is one of the hardest WrestleManias to kind of there's stuff that they tease, but there's no guarantee that that's going to be the match at Mania.
The Rock should just come back and not even wrestle though. He should just come back and just like interject himself into all of this, but not wrestle. He should be like a special guest referee, a special guest timekeeper, a commentator. He should do all that. Just interject himself into all of this, but not actually wrestle.
Because if The Rock was here, they probably would do either Rock Cody or Rock Cody Roman. And then I feel like the rest of the WrestleMania card would be so much easier to put together. If you take like Roman and Cody, because those are probably the two most difficult for them to place who they want them to go against at WrestleMania. I think if you take them out of the play, I think everything else would come together a little bit better.
What if Ava comes up to the main roster and she just starts making a bunch of decisions that upset Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, and they're wondering what the hell's actually going on. And then The Rock shows up. But The Rock still doesn't wrestle. And in his place, he has Hikuleo wrestle. Hikuleo is The Rock's appointed man.
I mean, that would be a good way to introduce Hikuleo, and it goes along with the whole recent reports that WWE plans on pushing Ava more. I think that the best idea that I've heard is I'm shouting out a lot of people from wrestling media today, but best idea I heard was Ollie Davis of Wrestle Talk, who suggested that Ava gets called up to the main roster and her new boyfriend is Solo Sikoa. And it's basically the McMahon Helmsley regime, but with Ava.
Awful.
It sounds awful, but exactly. I heard that. I was like, this sounds so bad. It works. I was like, that's how you get Solo to get heat back on him. He starts dating The Rock's daughter. Oh my God. And then The Rock like makes him the new tribal chief and stuff, helps him get back to Ulafala. Oh my God, that's perfect.
People would hate that. It would rule.
I want a booking team of Jeremy Lambert, Ollie Davis, and me, where I just take their crazy ideas and then I try to like put it together.
Yeah, aren't the Rock and Ava? I'm sorry, I know The Rock and Ava are related. Solo and Ava have to be related in some way. Like I don't know about them dating. They've got to be like actually related.
I mean, isn't it all of this like blood bond? Well, The Rock, honestly, The Rock is not related to the family. He's not blood of the family because his mom is adopted.
I don't know, man. They have that giant ass tree up there. Like, there's got to be some
I know what their tree says, but I got see you let me just big up everybody that I know in wrestling media. Shout out to Sat Iyangi who dropped some knowledge on me a couple of years ago. Rock's not technically blood with Peter Maivia, so he's not. So Ava's not blood of Solo Sikoa. And all of this is blood bonds. It's not even like their actual family and stuff like that. So anyway, so I'm sorry to crush some of y'all dream out there. It's not insensual. It's not that. Sorry, guys.
Why is that? No one should be dreaming about this at all. Knock that off. I'll do that. Ava and Tongaloa are the ones in a relationship on the show. Dude, that's who should be the tribal chief.
The Tongaloa push? I'm here for it.
No, I'm all for it. I'm all for Tongaloa.
Former New Japan great.
Is anybody really a former New Japan great? Like he's still a New Japan great. He's just not in New Japan anymore.
He's a former New Japan great. He was great in New Japan.
He's great in WWE. Remember when he stood on top of the ladder and everyone thought he was going to fall? He was on the top rung, the very top of that damn thing.
I love that Tama Tonga was one of the better promo guys in New Japan towards the end of his run, and now he just gets the mic. And he's like, yeah, and it's getting over. It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
You just need a word. I think Louis said it. I think Louis said it. It's like Lyra Valkyria just needs to find her word. That's it. She's got the woo when during the entrance. They do the woo.
boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, 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 boom.
That's how it goes, right?
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, boom, boom. Whoa, boom, 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 boom. She's a bird lady. She's a bird lady. So just dun dun dun. Whoa, boom boom boom. Whoa, boom boom boom. Whoa, boom 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 boom.
That should be your theme. Just,
I was like, this would make a perfect short.
yeah,
just show a live Valkyria and just video.
yeah, it's gonna be that. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna create for today. I've messaged Joey Janela to see where he may or may not be. As expected, with Joey. Bless Joey.
I love you previewing it at the top of the show.
I mean, look, that's why I said it. Love Joey. At some point, he's gonna join. It was trying to quell expectations of it. Might not be today. Might be tomorrow at 1:30. Don't know. You never know with Joey. You just don't know. But I messaged him, and we'll see.
Boom, boom. Oh, boom, boom, boom. Oh, boom, boom, boom. I like her theme song. Her theme song is pretty good for a Death Rebel.
Is it? Yeah. I guess so.
Not bad.
Tender Rose might be in the same state as Paul London is too, which would check out. Oh.
Running late, London style.
Yeah. Tenders since Super Chad says, I want Rock to show up 2 or 3 weeks before Mania. F it. That would roll. He should show up like at Mania and just change the whole card.
He's like, I'm now the general manager. This is not going to be the card for me.
This Cody and John Cena match, fuck that. John Cena hasn't won in forever. Elimination Chamber. Who cares? Rock's got a curse. They're like, no. Cody Rhodes, we got to finish our story. I said our story wasn't done. I'm in this match now. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, fuck that. Off is a direction that match can fuck. CM Punk doesn't get this big match at WrestleMania. CM Punk, you're now wrestling Obafemi in an 8-minute match because Obafemi can't go over 15 minutes.
Pull it all back around. That was perfect. Well, they did on Monday Night Raw last night tease Logan Paul and CM Punk once again after Logan Paul eliminated Punk from the Royal Rumble. I know they're going to be in the chamber together, but I mean, if they want to put Punk against, someone who's naturally going to be the heel against them instead of 2 of their other top baby faces or 3 of their top baby faces going against one another, they could do a Roman and Seth and Punk and Logan type situation.
I don't think Punk wants that Mania match. I don't think CM Punk's looking at Logan Paul and be like, yeah, this would be a great WrestleMania match for me. It'd probably be like a fine match. Logan's very good. CM Punk is very good, and his style certainly works. I don't think he's looking at that. What if they just like recreated the Hangman match? Like a beat for beat. They just did the Hangman match.
Oh, that would be so good. And Punk tries to do the buckshot again.
Yeah, but he slips on purpose this time. It's purposeful since they're doing spot for spot. Yeah,
spot for spot type thing. I would love it. I would love it so much. But they had a good vibe out there. They didn't say anything memorable or anything like that, but they just had, Logan Paul getting booed out the building. It really feels like people hate him. Like, unlike Dom, who just feels like they're doing a bit, it just feels like they hate Logan Paul. It's good. It's good. It's good heat. It's good heat to me. Probably not to Logan. But he looked rusty out there. he looked rusty out there early on, and I took that down to me then remembering. I was like, yeah, this is his first match in like 6-7 months. Like he hasn't wrestled in a singles match since SummerSlam.
Yeah, so he's probably gonna be a little rusty. It was
Turned out to be a solid match by then.
What'd you think of Logan's finisher?
The pulverizer.
Yeah.
I was like, that move is dope, but you can't do it on half this roster.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, who is he getting up for this thing?
I was like, Seth. It was like Seth, Punk, maybe.
Yeah,
but is Punk gonna do a backflip?
Most of the people for it. He definitely can't do the assault and battery on people. Like he can't.
Yeah.
People ain't taking.
Love that shout out.
It was good. I'm glad Shane Mercer got a little bit of love on that. But he can't do that on that one. He can do the pulverizer to a fair amount of people. You know, maybe if they decide they're going to do it. Like Roman ain't taking that. Roman ain't doing these flip nonsense. You kidding me? Roman's like, absolutely not.
It's like, nope, not doing that. Not doing that. Not for Logan Paul especially, but I'm not doing that at all. But yeah, I thought that was a solid enough main event. But Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Liv Morgan, and Raquel stole the show. Like the ladies had a good night overall with the setup for Rhea and Io. Io having another banger with Liv Morgan out there. Liv with another great performance. Raquel was even good, even though we get the usual Raquel Rodriguez botch or mistake in the matchup with her busting open her own tag team partner.
Poor Liv, man. Poor Liv.
I thought it was Io's knee for a second, and then I watched it back. It's her getting battering rammed by Raquel and hitting Dakota's elbow, and she's out of it. Like on the second taunt when she's dragging dolling her around, she's out of it. It's so good.
Yeah. Poor Liv. I was like, what happened to her? And then they showed it. I was like, oh, okay. That was good. It was good to see Dakota Kai back in the ring. You know, Dakota's solid, and there's a spot for her. She probably should have won the Intercontinental title, but they probably would have done the same thing to her. Like, you know, just book her as a loser, as they are wont to do. Book all of these losers.
Big loser. And why does WWE have to do this? This is like 2 or 3 times this year. They book these finishes that just piss me off. Like I don't know anything's gonna piss me off more than Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. But man, that Creeds versus War Raiders match was so damn good. And then they had that lame ass finish.
They love these lame finishes, SP3. They love them. I do hate the DQ finishes. Always. Just have someone win. It's okay. It's okay.
That's right. It's because you do realize you can have the War Raiders win the match and then the Creeds do that post match to get their heat back. You know, there's actually a thing. You do know that like one of the greatest tag team feuds of all time, in my opinion, is the Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico. And I watched that in real time, Jeremy, including at the Hammerstein Ballroom. El Generico and Kevin Steen lost every one of those damn matches, especially when the tag team titles was on the line. But you know what they did after every match they lost? They just attacked them post-match and kept the feud going. You can do that, Triple H. I'm just letting you know. I don't know if you're aware. I know you've been in the business for give or take 4 decades, but I'm just saying you could do that.
They like to do too many rematches, and to do rematches in their mind, you got to have these wonky finishes so you can justify the rematch.
Because logically, it did not make sense. It did not make sense. Like, why are you using the title when you know you're going to be DQ? And I love the commentators trying to save it, being like, "Oh, it's to send a message." Could have sent a message by winning the match.
They should have, they should have done instead of that, like, just attack them before the match and do a beatdown. And then that's the message sent. It's still dumb, because why wouldn't you just wrestle for the tag team titles and try to win the tag team titles? Like, maybe book it as a non-title match to start with. And just say, hey, this is a non-title match. The Creed's got 0 victories. Why are they getting a title shot? So just do a non-title match. It's okay to do non-title matches. Do a non-title match before the match starts. The Creeds beat them down, and that's to send the message. And then the War Raiders are like, all right, fine. This is how you want to play. You can have your title match. We'll put the titles on the line. They're pissed off about it. And then you do a title match afterwards. But you just booked this match to do a screwy finish, to do a rematch. It's annoying.
It's annoying. Like that's back-to-back weeks that we had really damn good matches ruined by the finish. Last week it was Liv and Io. This week it's the Creeds and the War Raiders. Y'all got me convinced by the way y'all talking on social media. Some of y'all Io Sky fans that really want her to have a title match at WrestleMania. We're gonna get one with Rhea and Io as well. Like, it's like, dude, do we have to have one every week on Raw?
Well, Chisholm sent a super chat. Is he gonna pop y'all when Chad Gable pops up in AAA? That is a rumor. I mean, look, if it happens, it'd be cool. But until it happens, I'm not buying it.
Give me a reason to watch AAA.
Mustafa Ali being there this weekend isn't enough of a reason for you.
Who's he facing?
They haven't announced an opponent yet.
Exactly. So I like Mustafa Ali, but AAA, like AAA, I remember like 2, 3, 4 years ago, AAA and NWA were in my rotation of promotions that I would watch. But like over the last 4 years, they have died out a lot of my goodwill towards those two companies. So I don't keep them in my rotation. My rotation is getting tighter. Like, I'm trying to squeeze in. I got to catch up on like Marigold and Stardom, but I've trying to mainly been locked in on the main ones that I cover, but it's hard to catch up on everything else. We'll see.
Falby says, finally someone else recognizes Obab as the 12-minute god that he is. Yeah, he's still a god.
Yes, he is a god. Absolutely.
Did you see Kenny's comments on Logan Paul? I saw the clip circulating. I feel like it's a very old clip though, because it was on, like, I don't know if Kenny's done a Twitch stream in a while. I could be wrong. Like, maybe he is doing Twitch streams again. I just didn't pay enough attention. But yeah, I don't know how old the clip is. I would like to get kind of a date on that before I start, talking about Kenny Omega and the comments he made towards Logan Paul. But I did see it circulating. I just don't know how old it is.
Has a Twitch stream since before his surgery, so it's probably before then. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
Year.
He hasn't done a Twitch stream in forever. So yeah, I feel like it's a pretty old comment that he made.
He was dropping a bunch of gems about WWE, and I mean, he
was great on those Twitch streams.
You did get a little bit of insight into how he's being presented right now in AEW. It's very much the AEW version of a Roman Reigns presentation right now, with the big dramatic music, the big pomp and circumstance, him feeling like the AEW final boss. Those checks a lot of the boxes he was talking about.
Yeah. He was great on the Twitch streams. It was felt very honest on them, on top of like giving updates on how he was feeling and stuff. He was just answering questions from wrestling fans, and it was good stuff. And hasn't done it in a while, but hopefully he brings it back at some point. So yeah, I feel like his comments about Logan Paul are probably a little bit outdated, probably pretty outdated considering they were probably took place in early 2024, and Logan has kind of gone on to do half a year in wrestling. I mean, some of the stuff probably still stands with what he feels about Logan, but also probably feels a little outdated. I mean, it definitely is outdated if it's over a year old. And Louis, new WWE game, WWE name or Lakers bench? Trey Jemison, SP3. Is this a NXT superstar or the 12th man on the Lakers?
NXT superstar.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't know.
He
I thought he was a Lakers player, truthfully. He is.
is? Oh my god.
He is a center for the Los Angeles Lakers. Shit, he might get playoff run here in the next
Look at
couple of
that.
months.
Yeah, he might get playoff run with the lack of center depth that we got after the rescinded trade. I love how we freaking have like checked off like two of the Laker kind of like gauntlets from recent, like the last 2 decades. We had the big time trade similar to 17 years ago with Pau Gasol and Luka Doncic, and then we get a rescinded trade like 14 years ago with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And it's never the same, yo. Paul Gasol was never the same when he came back to the Lakers after that rescinded trade. And the way Dalton Connect looked on the bench last night,
boy, they got to trade him this offseason. Like they don't have a choice. It doesn't feel like, because I don't know if he's gonna play.
But anymore. he's got to play for his the benefit of his, because he's playing for his next team basically the rest of the season.
He should get minutes, but doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna get minutes, No, we'll see. I know that about today. And then we'll wrap up here. A little bit of basketball talk. We gotta do Hot Take Tuesday. Even though you've been giving out hot takes all day here, SP3. All day with the hot takes. Teams should not beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs. They should just let OKC win. Let us win the championship. You know what happens to teams that beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs? SP3?
What happens?
They get blown up. The last 4 teams to beat the Thunder in the playoffs. Portland Trailblazers. Dame hit the goodbye shot. What happened on that team? What happened to Dame in Portland?
He went to Milwaukee.
Gone. The Houston Rockets, the Russ and Harden Rockets. They beat the Thunder in the playoffs. What happened to that team? How'd that turn out?
They're actually a better team now.
What happened? But what happened to Harden and Russ? Yeah. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Cat, Gobert, Randall, they beat the Thunder in a play-in game. I'll count it. Beat the Thunder in a play-in game. What happened to that team?
Cat got traded.
Gone. The Dallas Mavericks, Luka, Kyrie, all the bigs. What happened?
Luka got traded.
Last 4 teams to beat the Thunder in the playoffs traded their all-stars.
So you know what's going to have to happen.
Blew them up.
You know what's going to have to happen, Jeremy. So that lays in nicely to my hottest take in regards to the NBA. I'm booking the NBA for you folks. The Nuggets are going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs, because in the year of our Lord 2027, Nikola Jokic will sign with the Los Angeles Lakers and create the greatest dynamic duo of all time with Luka Doncic.
Stop it. Do you have a wrestling hot take for the week?
I think that was hot enough. No, but
wrestling hot take.
Yeah.
I'm very scared.
Let me see here. What did I say last week? I said the Jacob Fatu one, right?
No, last week you said John Cena wins world title 17 at WrestleMania. Yeah, loses to Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, the Jacob Fatu. Hey. So let's see here. Okay, my hot take, or maybe it's like a hot prediction. CM Punk will not main event WrestleMania this year.
Okay. That's a medium. I feel like that's medium.
That's medium, really?
That's a medium, yeah.
I think a lot of people are convinced he's gonna main event WrestleMania.
I haven't been convinced, unless there's a title on the line, which I don't think there will be. I haven't been convinced.
All right. So
It's a
let
hot
me.
take.
I'll think about mine. You go first.
All right. Here's my hot take. This is super hot, by the way. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna look very stupid at the end of the year. I'm going long term with my takes here. Okay. Hot take. AEW turns it around. Over 800,000 viewers for Dynamite by the end of the year. Over 800. They're at just over 600 right now. I'm thinking 200 come back.
That is a hottest take. That is a hottest
I think
take.
the ship's going to turn around. They've been booking good stuff lately. They stay consistent like this. They heat up a couple of top programs. You know, once you get past Cope and all, guys, like you heat up the right guys, get them in that main event spot, and it turns around.
I like that one. I'm gonna go even more long term. You're going for the end of the year. I'm going for the end of somebody's career. Mark Briscoe will win the AEW World Championship before he retires.
Okay. I don't see it, sadly.
I don't either, but it's hottest take.
Stick by it then. No, stick by it. Stick by it.
I am sticking by it. I believe he should. That performance against Kyle Fletcher, man.
You just said you don't believe it, though. Stick by the hot take. Say it's going to happen. Get the conviction in there, SP3.
It's going to happen.
All right, folks. I'll let you know what's going on with Joey Janela. Hopefully we get him on the show.
He's all right.
Yeah, hopefully he's fine. We'll be back tomorrow, scheduled to have guests. I'm not going to promote them because I'm very scared that they are not going to show up. So we're not going to promote them at all. Sorry. If they show up, great. If they don't, I didn't promote anybody, folks. I did not promote anybody. SP3, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be live in 1 hour over on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel with Mr. Romeo Anthony Colon. We'll be reviewing Monday Night Raw on Netflix, talking about Jey Uso choosing Gunther, talking about Logan Paul qualifying in the main event, and everything else that went down on Monday Night Raw last night. So join us live for a Rated Raw review at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, I'll be back here on Thursday on In the Weeds. And we'll have star ratings.
And we might have a guest. We might not. Who knows? Not promoting anything. Refuse to do it. I'll be back tomorrow with new In the Weeds. Joel Pearl will allegedly be back. We'll see. You never know with Joel. Sometimes he shows up. Sometimes he doesn't. Can't keep track of it. Till then, everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't, leave a thumbs up on the video. If you're listening on demand, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. Give us a thumbs up. Subliminal thumbs up there. Don't break your microphone. There we go. All right. Leave us a thumbs up. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify if you're listening on demand on the podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you're listening on demand. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.